people should see in the priest, should see in all of us, all disciples, should see Jesus. Somehow we're transformed enough that Jesus shines through. That came from a very small mountaintop village in Sicily called Polina. It is somewhat distant from Cefalù. Cefalù is a well-known city. To drive from Cefalù to Polina, a good half hour, if not more. Part of it is because to get up to the top of the mountain, you're just going around on very narrow roads. But that's where he's from. He was born there, and then he came over at the age of 18. He never lost his accent, which I thought was always very welcoming and attractive. My mom was born here in the States. Actually, she was born in the very town that I grew up in Pawcatuck, Connecticut. Her parents came from Sicily as well. When I was 2, my parents bought a 2-tenement home. In those early years, when my grandparents lived on the floor below us, I spoke only Sicilian. The influence of my early life were from my parents, people who were very hardworking, who had a great love for the church, great deep of faith. I think it prepared the soil in the sense of I would be very receptive to wanting to be a priest. The circumstance that was really key in my settling to want to do that, I was about 8 years old. His name was Father Michael Giovino. And there was something about him. I had never met him before. I can't tell you what it was about him. He was only there a week. But when he left, I said to my mom and dad, when I grow up, I want to be like Father Mike. And I credit that being how God used him to begin to interest me in wanting to be a priest.
Bishop Loverde came from a wonderful home, a very Catholic home, came from an intensely Catholic part of the country. Church obviously saw in him a very promising young man, sent him to Rome for studies.
We studied together at the North American College in Rome. I was ordained the year after him, but we spent together in Rome 3 years of our formation into priesthood. Both of us were studying for priesthood while the Second Vatican Council was going on. So we had this extraordinary gift of being in Rome while the council was unfolding and doing our theological studies in the light of all of that renewal of the church.
There was much excitement in the air. There was much in the newspapers. I had only been there a couple of weeks. And to this day, I don't know how we just followed our leader, who was an older seminarian. But whatever he did, and through whatever gates we went through, I ended up with others very close to the procession of the bishops and archbishops and cardinals, and finally John the 23rd. I don't think all of us understood the depths and the implications of those changes, but we knew it was of God.
And one of the things that the Second Vatican Council highlighted was the role of the laity in the church. This was a time when there were more priests, more religious, more seminarians, more novices than any other time in the history of the church. And the Holy Spirit was guiding the church to say, you have to engage the laity.
John the 23rd died the following June. we were praying in the square when he died. And so when the cardinal came out to announce his death, we were right there. And then when Paul VI was announced as the new pope at the end of June, we were studying for our final exam, so we weren't in the square. But of course, as you know, when the white smoke is announced, first of the bells begin to peal and the people have their radios. Anyway, we ran down the hill, all of us, and so we were in the square when Cardinal Montini, now to become Paul VI, stepped out. It was the most precious time in my life. And I find that very instructive as time went on, to have been there. It was a great, great grace. We went to do our final retreat outside of Rome in the Alban Hills. But then the day before ordination, the afternoon of the retreat ended, and then they had the parents. And it was just, it was amazing to see them after 3.5 years. And then they were there for the ordination. Ceremony was very beautiful, and of course that altar of the chair has always been a great, great favorite spot for me. When I go over to Rome, I always stop and pray there.
Father Loverde's first assignment as a priest was at the parish of St. Sebastian in Middletown, Connecticut. From there, he went on to teach in high school, serve as chaplain, work in campus ministry, and sit on the tribunal and council of priests.
I loved being a priest and could have been a priest all my life.
But in 1988, Bishop Loverde's life, as he knew it, was about to change.
As I picked up the phone, I didn't know what was happening. The Apostolic Nuncio came on, and I didn't know why he would be talking to me. But then after a while, it became clear, of course, what he said, and I was just overwhelmed. I was speechless, actually, because I was asked to be a bishop. I knew the announcement we made public on Tuesday morning. So I said to my mom that I'll be home Monday night. So I climbed the stairs to our second-floor apartment, and there she was at the kitchen table. And when I walked in, she said, "What's up?" I said, "Nothing is up." "Oh," she said, "something is up." I said, "No, there's nothing up." Well, she said, "Now, she said, twice today Bishop Riley called and was looking for you, and he's never done that." "Oh," I said, "well, he must have forgotten I teach seminary on Mondays." "No," she said, "something." I said, "Mom, I don't know about you, but I think you should go to bed." Well, I woke up the next morning. I didn't sleep well. I went by her bedroom and tried to make some noise so she would wake up. So I opened and closed the door, hallway door, not her door, but... And then finally, I called her and woke her up. And she said, she looked at the clock, and she said, "Well, it's early yet. I usually don't get up this early." I said, "Oh, I think you should," I said. So she looked at me with wide eyes, and she sat up in bed. I gave her a robe, and she sat up in bed. And I had it all rehearsed about what I wanted to say. And I said to her, "Well, Mom, you've always said you want to live to my 25th as a priest. Well, that's 2.5 years away, and I hope you do. But you have lived long enough for me to tell you that." And I couldn't say anything else. And she looked at me like, "What's the matter with you?" And I got all very, emotional. And finally, I've been named a bishop, and still very powerful.
Bishop Loverde celebrated his episcopal ordination on April 12, 1988. His first assignment was to be the auxiliary bishop for the Archdiocese of Hartford.
The unique quality of episcopal ordination is that you become a successor to the apostles. You're a part now of the College of Bishops, which succeeds to the College of Apostles, to the 12.
After serving little more than 5 years in Hartford, Bishop Loverde was transferred to upstate New York to become the Bishop of Ogdensburg. His tenure there ended in 1999, when he was assigned to be Bishop of the Diocese of Arlington.
So I wondered, now, what will it be like? I went through the statistics of the parishes then, in 1999. At that point, All Saints Parish in Manassas had 20,000 registered parishioners. And I thought to myself, this is amazing. There is one parish in this new diocese that has 20,000 registered parishioners. The city of Ogdensburg, its total population, not Catholics now, the total population of Ogdensburg was 11,000. So I'm going to a parish that is nearly twice the size of this entire city's population. It was boggling, mind-boggling.
When Bishop Loverde arrived at the Diocese of Arlington, it was a thriving community and experiencing extraordinary growth. For the new bishop, this would mean opening new parishes, building new schools, and advancing Catholic education curriculum, a need for more priests, deacons, and religious, additional outreach to those in need, and a re-energized spirit of evangelization.
Well, good morning, boys and girls. How are you? Sit.
Catholic schools certainly are very close to the heart of Bishop Loverde, as a very important vehicle to assist him in his ministry as a teacher of the faith in our church here in the Diocese of Arlington.
This is quite different than other dioceses in our nation. In many places, Catholic schools are being closed or consolidated, while here in the Diocese of Arlington, Catholic schools have been opened in order to serve the needs of future generations.
He has shown his support in just countless ways. You know, every year he comes and has a liturgy with all of the teachers. So he's prayed with us, he's laughed with us, he's talked to us, he's taught us, and he's been with us as we continue the whole role of Catholic education here in this diocese.
And remember, love Jesus and love one another, right?
Bishop Loverde has worked tirelessly to increase tuition assistance so that Catholic education will be available to parents who want their children to go to Catholic schools but cannot afford full tuition.
I think a lot of the kids here don't know what it's like to live in poverty or to be homeless, and so we kind of lose sight of that. So for me to come from that and then to come to this, it kind of like humbles me, you know. I'm grateful to be here. And I'll never forget that and the impact that this school has made in my life.
The Diocese of Arlington has always had strong vocations and many, many excellent priests. And the bishop has patiently, lovingly guided that presbyterate, has done everything a bishop should do to bring it together in a very beautiful way. That's hard, painstaking work everywhere. Bishop did it beautifully.
It's obvious that his love of religious life and of the priestly vocation has inspired many, many young people.
He asked everyone who was considering the priesthood or some sort of religious life if they would all stand up. So I stood up because I realized, you know, this is something that I should be thinking about. So that was the first time that I really started to hear the beginnings of that call and think about it more.
He definitely been a support even just of my own vocation and of my own life here in the diocese. He's always encouraging me in terms of my own call to consecrated life, to be a witness to others, to the joy that we need to bring into the world as consecrated men and women.
I constantly hear all of the priests and seminarians in the diocese talking about what an impact he has made in their life. He's so supportive of vocations in this diocese, and it's just fantastic to have him as a bishop.
To provide additional support for his priests, Bishop Loverde reinstituted the formation program for permanent deacons.
You need to have people know that God is still calling. Well, where are they coming from? So we better be interested in that, because they don't fall out of heaven. They come from your sons, and religious vocation from your sons and daughters.
Bishop Loverde is completely dedicated to the life issues. I don't know of another bishop in the nation who, once a month, has a Mass dedicated to the Respect Life issues. Following that Mass, he goes to an abortion facility and prays the rosary outside of that facility. And we have done this at least for 10 years now. I'm amazed. Rain, sun, shine, lots of snow, and freezing weather. Bishop Loverde has gone to the March for Life every year.
Catholic Charities really becomes the heart of our diocesan church. And by that, I mean that Catholic Charities makes the parishioners able to reveal the love which is in Christ's heart for the needy, the poor. And in that way, in a sense, everything we do through Catholic Charities, every action, every gesture is like the heartbeat of the diocese, saying, we care for you, we love you, we want you to be much, much better, we want you to live with dignity and help. Not only to provide aid at the moment, but to be that agent of transformation in people's lives.
Through all of his teaching moments, Bishop Loverde has invited and encouraged people to join him in sharing our Catholic faith.
The new evangelization lies at the core of who we are, proclaiming the Lord, His truth, His love, and our call to serve one another on this life and to be with Him in the next.
It's about the way we respond to God's call with the tools that He's given us to build His kingdom.
Bishop Loverde has provided the example and tools through his writings, the airwaves, and large-scale diocesan programs. The role for all priests and bishops has dramatically changed over the last several decades.
There are different seasons in the life of the church and therefore in the life of a bishop. We would have never dreamt 25 years ago of the challenges we'd be facing.
When Bishop Loverde was ordained in 1965, there was a sense of spirituality that was still an accepted part of life. Today we are living in such a secular world that if you mention faith, God, transcendence, values, so much of the secular world simply ignores that. The new evangelization is the call to bishops, to priests, to laywomen, to laymen, to everyone in the church to begin all over again.
It's been a great blessing to be here. I'm deeply grateful for the gift I have received in this beautiful diocese, because it's a diocese where so many of the people are filled with faith, where many people prize the truths of our faith, Catholic education, where also people are extremely generous, especially to the needy and the poor, and those times we have emergencies even worldwide. I've always been fascinated and so thrilled by the great generosity of our people. My memories are filled with wonderful people who are looking to grow in their love for God, who wanted support for their various kinds of lives.
He has, throughout his whole time as priest and bishop, taken every job, every responsibility the church ever gave him, and just worked at it with his whole mind and heart and soul.
The best gift you can give a bishop who's already served for 50 years and served wonderfully well is the gift of pledging to be open to God's call, wherever that call leads you.
And that's really why I became a priest. I mean, I've said that often, I became a priest so I could lead people as best I could to Jesus. Very simple.